Welcome back, everybody. This is Boot Camp for Combat from Compass Games by Ross Mortel. For the next few episodes, I want to run through the components of the game and how to interpret the bits and pieces that are there, sort of as a prerequisite step before moving on to more advanced topics, because everything is kind of coming off of these basic components. And I'm assuming that you are new to this game and need to be familiarized. So let's begin with the unit counters for the soldiers themselves. On the screen on Vassal, I have Volume 1's counters, at least a representative mix. There's a lot of information on these 1-inch counters. I like the 1-inch counters, by the way. I think it's pretty cool. They fit really well with the 5/8-inch order counters that we'll be covering in the future. So, Americans first. The American soldiers belong to 3 different teams, which is Able, Baker, and Charlie. Let me turn on my little pointer here. There. Able, Baker, and Charlie. These are initiative teams. They're color-coded, too, by this bar on the left side with the name of each soldier. Now, there's sort of a subtle mental trap you can fall into with these teams. You might think of these initially as being like functional teams, like the Americans used in World War II generally for squad-based tactics. Alpha team was primarily the scouts. You send the scouts out first. And then you had a fire base and a maneuver team. And those would be Baker and Charlie. You do not need to keep Able with Able, Baker with Baker, and Charlie with Charlie. You are free. There's no law that says you have to keep them separate that way. You can mix them together. Each of these teams, Able, Baker, Charlie, are going to have a different initiative number, and we'll run through the initiative procedure soon. So one of these will operate earlier, and one later, and one last in a particular turn. If you mix them a bit, you kind of hedge your bets as you send a functional team out with different initiative members in it, because if somebody pops up out of a hedgerow or something, you will have an opportunity to spot and to deal with that threat. Whereas if it happens after you've already had your go, if you had an earlier initiative number than that particular German, then you'd have to wait until your next activation to respond. So, just saying, you're not locked in. All right, so we got our name, we got the initiative groupings, and they Able, Baker, Charlie. There are 2 sides to the counters. There is the spotted side, the known side, which for the Americans is this darker green color with white letters for the team names. And then there's the hidden side, which is what you usually start out as, with a more grayish green. I wish this was a little more pronounced. My red-green vision is not very good, so I have a bit of trouble at times on a board seeing these differences, but the names of the teams are black on the hidden side. Now, there are a bunch of numbers here, too. The black box is the leadership rating for a leader, an NCO, or an officer. The number has to do with their ability to plan and get more cards. We'll run through the plan order in a couple of videos. And the number there in the leadership also can affect the rallying of nearby troops. Other than that, it doesn't play much role. The most important number, well, one of the 2 most important numbers, is in the red box. This is the troop quality number. This is sort of the constitution of your soldier. That's how much damage they can take, so you can think of them as like hit points. And they also reflect how well a soldier functions as a soldier. Whenever you do a check, a morale check, a rally check, a troop quality check, all the different kinds of checks we'll talk about, this red number is the number you'll be using. So this is your check number, and it's also your hit points. If you take, like this Sergeant Taylor, if he takes 6 points and he gets down to 0, he will be basically unconscious. If he goes negative, he's dead. The white circles are your weapon skills, the proficiency of your individual soldiers with different weapons. Each soldier in the base volume 1 will have between 1 and 3 weapons at their disposal. Sergeant Taylor has 3. His primary weapon is the grease gun, and he's pretty good with it. He's got a 7. His grenade is his secondary weapon, and his pistol, his 1911, is his tertiary weapon. Others will have 2, like Private Johnson here with his BAR and a grenade. Some officers only have a pistol, a single weapon. In Volume 2, there are medics that have no weapons. So they'll have different weapon skill for their different weapon systems. Usually they're going to be using their primary weapon unless they run out of ammo, where Sergeant Taylor would have to either reload or else go to his tertiary weapon or pitch a grenade with a separate attack. Down here with Private Stubbs, his tertiary weapon is a rifle grenade. So he can choose to fire his Garand, or he can put in a rifle grenade cartridge and lock on a rifle grenade and lob that out there. Let's see, the T is a special skill. There are not a lot of special skills in Volume 1, but tough is one of them. Sergeant Taylor is tough, which means that if he takes a hit, he can draw 2 cards. We'll talk about the hit process in the future, but he gets to draw 2 cards and take the most favorable one for him, the least damage. So he's a tough little nut. The Germans have 4 different teams. They are color-coded, red, white, blue, and yellow. They will be mixed on the board randomly. And these are their known sides, which you will not know initially. What you will see initially are the unknown sides, which all look like this, except they'll have red, white, blue, and yellow stripes. And they'll have a default 4 troop quality. And they will move about the board and act like a soldier, and they might be soldiers of these 4 different teams, or they can be dummies. So this AI is clever, and it can bluff. And these dummies will move around and act just like a regular soldier until you spot them and find them out. So that's part of the fun of this AI, and I like that a lot. Other than that, I mean, the German soldiers have a leadership number if they are leaders. They have their troop qualities just like the Americans, and they have their respective weapon skills. And they will always use the primary weapon unless they pass a grenade check and they have a grenade option in their activation. The little numbers at the bottom are just identifier numbers so that you know which of these chits to put into your draw cup. If you're doing it physically, you actually use a cup and draw randomly and put them face down on the board. So you'll get a random mix of red, blue, white or yellow or whatever is possible for your scenario, and there will be a mix of dummies and real soldiers, so you won't know what's what. Now, Volume 2 added some new soldiers. We get a whole 3rd squad. In Volume 1, we get 2 squads worth of soldiers along with leaders. In Volume 2, we get a 3rd squad, so that's a whole platoon. Plus, we get some leaders and medics, and the Germans get the SS. Now, I don't have this on Vassal, so I have to stop the video for a sec and pull up my other camera, and let's take a look at some representative counters from Volume 2 and see how they compare. Alright, and here's some of the unit counters for Volume 2. The Americans get full-time medics now. These medics, I mean, we had medical skills in Volume 1. There'd be a little red cross. Down where this, like, knife skill is, there'd been a little red cross where the soldier has some medical training and can, if given a medical aid order, bandage wounds if they pass a quality check. These medics have no weapons. They are full-time professional medics, and hopefully nobody's shooting at them because they don't have any weapons, and they have a better chance to bandage wounds, but they can't contribute to the fighting like a medically trained soldier could. And like I said, we also get command units like Lieutenant Fliss here, who's got a good command rating, and he's pretty good with his grease gun and grenade and his 1911, and he's also a tough lieutenant, sort of like Lieutenant Hanley out of Combat, the television series. So, not a lot of new things here for the Americans, but during the campaign system that's part of Volume 2, the soldiers can learn new skills. And some of the skills are given to the SS units in the German side of Volume 2. So now we have 4 new colors to play with. In addition to red, white, blue, and yellow, now we get this yellow-orange color, and jade, and firebrick, and, yes, lavender. Lavender SS. Ross, you make me laugh. Lavender SS is like putting ballerina slippers on a linebacker. Really? Then, the way my brain works, I'm thinking ballerina slippers on a linebacker, ballerina slippers on SS, and pretty soon in my head I have these visions of SS soldiers in ballerina slippers singing Springtime for Hitler. And now, you do too. You're welcome. At any rate, we have the Pastel SS. That's the newer and kinder generation of SS soldiers. They aren't that kind. So, 4 more teams, identification numbers, and their names. They have leadership ratings, that's just like before. They have troop quality, just like before. And now we have special skills. Technically, sniper skills were present on some German soldiers in Volume 1, but there was no real rules to go along with it. Now there are rules for sniping in Volume 2. So we'll have real snipers in Volume 2, and we'll go over sniping rules sometime after we cover fire attacks. And there are other special skills these SS soldiers can have. They can have eagle eyes. E is for eagle eyes, and they're better at spotting your hidden soldiers and more likely to find them out. They can have a knife skill, which is great for in-close fighting in melee, or they can throw those knives silently from about a hex away or so. The soldiers do have the Germans do have professional medics as well. And best not to shoot at those. Geneva Convention and all. There are deadly soldiers, which it's sort of like the flip side of tough. Tough, you get to draw 2 cards, and you take the least damaging one. Here you draw 2 cards, and they get the most potent one. And you can have deadly snipers, which is really bad. They're great shots, and they're more likely to kill you. And we have these Ds for dodge. Excuse me. When one of these soldiers is evading, they're harder to hit. And dodge 2 are even better at dodging while they're evading. So we have all sorts now. We have 8 different groups of Germans. Now, normally you won't have 8 on the board, but you can bring these SS units over onto Volume 1 scenarios because they all share the same numbering system. There is a number 9 in the SS that corresponds to a number 9 in the regular German Weimar Army in Volume 1. So you can substitute SS as you wish. And once again, if I flip them over, they just have their hidden side as usual, but the SS are 5s instead of 4s like the regular Germans for their base troop quality number. That's the basics of these. I mean, no need to beat this into the ground any further. That's the introduction to the player soldier counters, and we'll move on with our review of components by looking at terrain next.